Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be talking about my Dell Inspiron 1525 notebook computer. I'm going to tell you about how I recently acquired it and everything. Back in late November 2011, a woman was wanting to trade in a computer for a refurbished desktop. She mentioned that she had a laptop she wanted to trade in to get a desktop, so I'm like, okay, because I do offer trade-in discounts for non-refurbished PCs. And to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised when she brought this deal, because what was wrong with it was, of course, it had Windows Vista on it and only had a gig of RAM, so it was very, very slow. So first thing I did was I offered, hey, I can upgrade your memory and get Windows reinstalled on this and make it much faster. But she just did not want a laptop. She wanted to have a desktop, so I gave her a discount on trading this in for a desktop. I'm not going to tell you how much the discount was or how much I paid for this computer, but it wasn't that much at all. And it did need some work done to it, though. This computer was in very good shape when I got it, and still is in very good shape. This computer was very clean when I got it. There was barely any fingerprints, no bunch of dust on it. There was barely any dust in the cooling fan in it. This computer was not used that much. I mean, it was in very good condition. And since then, I upgraded to Windows 7. Upgraded the memory to 2 gigs and took out the Pentium dual-core processor and installed a Core 2 Duo T9300, something like that. I think that's what it's called. It's a 2.5 gigahertz processor, mobile processor, and this thing performs flawlessly. And I also had to replace the battery because the battery was very tired, and because I don't think it was used that much. I also looked online, and it is a common problem with the stock 6L batteries in these computers to quit working. And of course, Dell wants well over $100 for a replacement battery, but I didn't go to Dell to get my battery. That's another thing I'm going to tell you about in this video. Many people bring their laptops to me with the batteries completely gone in them. I mean, not holding a single bit of charge at all. Matter of fact, in many cases, the notebooks don't even recognize the battery being plugged into batteries in such bad shape. I just want to let you know that you can get replacement batteries for very cheap in most cases. Let me go ahead and spin this around and show you the battery that's installed on it right now. And of course, this is the outside of the computer. It looks very nice. Has a green shell. And if I'm not mistaken, you can actually purchase different color shells for these things, for whatever color you desire. I personally like the green, so I kept it. And with this machine, it originally had a 6-cell battery, which of course lined up with the back of this notebook. But I purchased a 9-cell because the 9-cell is a much higher capacity battery, and I used this notebook in college. And I wanted a battery that would last very long on a charge, and this battery definitely does do that. For example, I charged the battery up on this computer last Thursday. I took it into my biology lab class, which lasts from 11:30, and I got out of the class at about probably 2:15. Computer was on almost the entire time in the course. And today, I had to go to the hospital to see my uncle. I brought the computer with me, and at that point, it still had around 50% charge left on it. I used the computer for probably 15 minutes or so to browse the web. And then later today I brought it home, and of course I turned it back on, run it for a little bit, done a little bit of video editing, and I finally put it back on the charger at about probably 25% or so. And this thing, I estimate under regular internet browsing, I get about probably 4.5 to 5 hours use out of this thing. Under very idle load, Windows actually estimates about 6 to 7 hours remaining. So this battery does very well. And get this, I only paid $26 for the battery off of Amazon.com. So if you have a notebook with a poorly performing battery that needs to be replaced, look up your computer's model number on Amazon.com. Now, of course, I recommend that you look up the reviews on batteries, because there are actually some junk batteries out there, while at the same time there are some good quality ones. The battery in this machine is an Anchor, also known as Laptop Mate battery. It's a generic battery, third-party battery from Dell. Of course, Dell says do not use third-party batteries. Because they want to get their money. That's all it is. This battery here is perfectly compatible. It's slid in just fine and fits this computer very well. And the battery seems very solidly built, and it is actually performing a little bit better than what it's specified to do. Let me go ahead and pull up CPU ID hardware monitor just to show you some more about this thing. And of course, the desktop background is what comes with Windows 7. I think it looks pretty cool. Here is hardware monitor, and you can see or not. Let me make sure I got the focus good on this. Here is the battery specification. You got your current voltage, and down here you have your capacities. In some cases, with certain notebooks, this may not display. But this thing is, it says that the design capacity for this battery is 71,280 milliwatt hours, so more or less 71 watt hours. That's pretty impressive. And the actual full charge capacity is 72,446 milliwatt hours. So it's actually doing a bit better than what it's actually designed or specified as. So that's very good. And I put this thing back on charger when it still had 13,770 milliwatt hours. And let me see here. I think I must, I opened the hardware monitor when the battery only had probably a 40-something% charge on it, so that's why it's the maximum says this. But this battery performs very well. Very satisfied with it. So like I was saying, again, I'll tell you again, if your battery is not doing too well, look it up on Amazon. You can get it for really cheap and actually get a decent battery off of Amazon. Just look at the reviews. Another thing to mention about this notebook is the cooling system performs very well. This is a pretty cool running CPU. The Core 2 Duo is the 2.5 gig model. Sitting here at idle is only doing about 36-37 degrees C. Sometimes I wonder though if the sensor on the die is incorrect sometimes, because sometimes it reads extremely low temperatures, like let's say like 16 degrees C, and even though the ambient room temperature is more than that, I'm not really sure though. But here is the readout from the computer itself. The minimum value, well actually here's the minimum and here's the maximum. So I have to say the cooling system on this thing performs very well, and it cuts the fan on at a little earlier speed than what some other notebooks will cut the fan on at, to make sure everything stays good and cool. So this thing, it does extremely well at keeping the CPU good and cool. And these temps here, let me see. These temperatures right here were from when I was saving a movie in Windows Movie Maker. So CPU was almost under 100% load at the time. And let me go ahead and show you the Windows Experience Index for this machine. It's under Performance Information Tools in the Control Panel. The processor in this thing, which is, like I say, it's the Core 2 Duo chip that come out of a different computer, it scores a 6.0. The memory gets a 5.5. Graphics gets a 3.5. Gaming graphics gets a 3.2, which the graphics on this machine is integrated Intel graphics. And the primary hard drive, which is a 160 gig hard drive that come out of my netbook, does a 5.4. So yeah, another thing to mention, this computer only had an 80 gig hard drive when I got it, so that definitely had to be swapped out for at least a 160. So anyways, another thing to mention about this thing is it has a nice webcam on it, along with an SD reader, 2 headphone out jacks, and a microphone in jack. The touchpad works very well. It's got a DVD-ROM drive, but I'm kind of looking to maybe get that replaced with a DVD burner sooner or later. This computer has an HDMI out, mini FireWire, has a modem, an Ethernet, and a VGA out, 2 USB ports on this side and 2 on the other side. And the only thing I guess I could say I don't like about this computer is the onboard speakers are not that loud. Though that's kind of to be expected with a notebook, because I mean, these notebooks have itty bitty little speakers inside them that can't do all that much, so it's kind of to be expected. Well, another thing I meant to mention about this computer, if you haven't watched my other videos when I replaced the CPU and the memory in this thing, you may have noticed how easily upgradable this thing is. I guess what I'll do here is I'll tip it up so you can see up under it. Might be kind of hard to see, but up under here there's a big door that goes over the memory, CPU, and Wi-Fi cards. This thing has 3 spots for wireless cards, one being your Wi-Fi card and the other 2 being WAN cards for like cellular carriers for, you know, mobile broadband. And when you take this door off, you have access to, like I say, your CPU, the wireless cards, memory, and the entire cooler itself. So this thing is extremely easy to upgrade. Heck, with most laptops, if you want to replace a processor, you got to do almost a complete teardown on the machine just to get to the CPU socket. So I'm very pleased with this computer, how well it's built. And if you happen to find one of these on sale, I highly recommend you get it. Of course, if it's a base model, it might need some upgrades, but I'm sure there are some models that have higher end specs. Anyways, had any questions or comments about this machine? Feel free to ask.